seeing this one, Gioni. Able to see my screen?
Yeah, it's 100 megapixel.
Just what I'm saying now. I'm a little surprised here. It says 100 megapixel camera, phone camera.
Wow, it's too much. Like it's almost as like a shooting camera only.
Yeah, innovation is taking too much acceleration nowadays. Okay, so other day when we discussed it, just Raj, I'll also bring you up to the speed about why we need such a system. Um, what are the pain points in the MapReduce? Though it's very powerful, but it has it, um, it needs a learning curve. People who would like to let us say analysts or something like that, no, they want to do some experimentation on the data. So MapReduce framework is not so efficient. So let me take an example to you. So take this small example like Deer Beer Card. This is the example we've been talking about it. Or let me take another example. Not this one. Employee. Let's say I have a small employee database with me and have few records, 5 records I have. So this is a comma separated pattern. So we have an ID, first name, last name, designation, and the location. So this is the database I have, and if I just give the file and ask you to, in the MapReduce framework, if I ask you to write a program to get me all the employees who are in Mumbai. So what essentially you do, you have to write a mapper code and you have to write a reducer code. And then in the mapper code, you have to filter based on the Mumbai. And then the reducer code, you have to count them. So let me give an example to you here. This I already explained it in the earlier class, but since you are here now, I'm going to reiterate one more time, just to give a background why you need to understand the how you pick those things. This will take another 5 more minutes. So in the mapper code, what I'm going to do, first thing you have to split the line by comma, and then I have to, yeah, I think location. I think I want to filter the data by location, by this designation. Get me all the employees who are manager designate. That is the question I have. So the processing I would need to do is that first thing is I need to split the line by the comma separated value, and then from the array I need to figure out whether this line has a designation called manager. If it has, if that has, then I put my count as 1. If that manager designation is not there, then I put the count as 0. So this is the mapper algorithm I write. So in the reducer, what I will do, simply I know that whatever count I get will have the value. So I just keep on counting it here. I learn a for loop and keep counting it. So with this combination, I would able to get all the manager designate from the MapReduce framework. So same thing can apply with the huge data as well. You can add more furthermore filtrations. You can filter by location, filter by designate. So many things you can do. But this is to give an illustration about how to deal with the processing semantics here. Be it simple one or could be a very complex processing thing. But in spite of all these things, in spite of you being writing a small portion of code here, this is still a bit challenging for the people who are not very familiar with the programming model, right? So for that, if you go back to the very beginning of, I'll go back to the very beginning discussion we had in the Hadoop intro. If you look at the timelines here, so it was there till this 2006-2007 time frame. This is when Hadoop got into commercial offering, means in the real-time production offering. So people was really feeling that no, there should be a better abstract system on top of Hadoop, which can simplify the Hadoop access and also its power capability. So that's when Hive people working in Facebook, they were very much uh, uh, inclined to the Hadoop, but again they're facing very hardship with writing MapReduce code. So the engineers in the Facebook company, they developed a system that looked like a SQL semantics, writing a SQL query on top of Hadoop. Then they named it as Hive. So this is the time it emerged in the market, Hive. And once it was having a successful implementation, they contributed back to the Hadoop community. They offered as a free software. So then it became the one of the Hive core um, ecosystem component, not core, the famous ecosystem component in the Hadoop ecosystem. So that is the integration happened here, right? So if this is the problem we are going to tackle it, how we can tackle the same problem in the in Hive. So let me log into the Hive. Where is my putty? Yeah, Hadoop is the password. Okay. So if so the same file, if you want to put that in the Hive, Hadoop and Hive, Hive can able to simplify the access. So let us see it first. So to get into Hive, there is a shell out there. I'll come back to the theory part, but I want to excite you with the Hive thing. Same thing what I did it on Friday. So typing Hive command, I'm getting into Hive shell. It takes a while in the beginning because it's a VM. Okay. Okay. So how do I Hive it everything look like a database? So if you are from a MySQL background, if you are from a Microsoft SQL background, this is much similar to that. So if you want to know how many databases are there in Hive, then the command called show databases. Oh, okay. Okay. So I get a list of databases. Default is the system given database, and other day I've created a training database, and there is one more database called Exademo, something like that. So training is our of concern. So let us get into training. Let us come to training database. Or if you are from Oracle, you see the word aliasing namespace. Similar to that, namespace is nothing but a database here. So I'm going to training database here. Use training. So in the training database, how many tables are there? Show tables. So I have one table called EMP2. So select star from EMP2. Till now, I am just showing the metadata of the table. I didn't actually query the data. First time I queried data, all the data. But what use case we're trying to do? I want to know all the employees who are manager designate. So let us put that one. Same thing. No need to have a different learning paradigm here. The same query experience you have, you can apply it here. So how do you do employee to where same known semantics to you, where the designation um, equal to manage it. That's it. All right. This is very simple to you, right? You're not writing any MapReduce code here. So what is happening behind the scenes? Let me put this one. You'll now come to know what is happening in how is able to do the miracle here. Let us see the miracle. Now you see it is spinning off a MapReduce job behind the scenes. So this is the essence of the Hive. So Hive is abstraction on top of the MapReduce. So it will relieve you from writing MapReduce code, and you can simply stick on to the SQL queries. But behind the scenes, whatever you do, it spins off a MapReduce job and get results. Sometimes it doesn't do when it doesn't need to process in the MapReduce framework. It doesn't do, but most of the times it spins off a MapReduce job. You see, it's spinning off a MapReduce job here. So this is the essence of it. This is the reason it is called as ecosystem, because this one is relying on the MapReduce framework. So Hive doesn't have its own processing capability. It is completely relying on the MapReduce framework. So that is the reason we call this as an ecosystem component here. Hive, the gray ones. So still, if you call an engine, MapReduce is the engine in all the ecosystem components. But you see the flavors from Hive and Pig here. So now we are discussing about Hive. Let us wait to complete. I'll get into the theory part. Raj?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you following me?
Yeah. I have a question.
Yeah.
So in the real world, like when we are working with Hadoop, do we have to write Java programs for, the mapper and reducer programs?
That's what I'm trying
very
to
very often, or do we only work with Hive, Pig, and all this?
Yeah, that's a good question. See, the often thing becomes subjective, but in my experience, what I'm saying is that you don't get that need most of the time.
Okay.
Most of the time, you are asked to process a file or do some refinement on the data. So in those cases, Hive and Pig are sufficient, and they are more efficient as well. I don't say sufficient; they're more efficient in that. Only when you have to get into MapReduce, when you can't certain things, certain complex things, let's say, those can't be accomplished through the Pig or Hive, then only you will get into MapReduce coding.
Okay.
So just
one more thing,
yeah.
now we are doing like select star from employee to where designation is called manager. This is like a regular SQL.
Right.
Then instead of that, you just again did the count and from employee number.
Right.
Select count. So it's doing like MapReduce.
Right.
So if you do anything like we have to do like MapReduce or like we have to follow SQL this thing.
SQL only. I didn't do all these things. If you look at my activity.
Yeah, you just gave the count, select count all like.
Yeah. So what Hive does is that it determines whether it needs a MapReduce job or it can do on its own. Two things
Depends.
Is
it depends on the SQL or depends on the just if you give automatically it itself decides whether to use MapReduce or the Hive.
Right, exactly. So the determination factors are like this. If it is plain file reading, line by line reading, it doesn't go for MapReduce.
Okay.
If you want to do additional processing, you want to say get a count of it, get aggregation of it, or get some grouping of it, those things needed a different way of dealing it. That time it spins off MapReduce job.
When it will go, okay. So for the aggregation and counts, it will go for the MapReduce.
Joins as well. You can join two tables. Yeah.
Yeah, when you join the two tables, like two files. Here it is two files.
Right. Here we
So,
have one file here, one table here, one table here. But if you are joining multiple tables, give me a second.
okay. Then you will have use map reduce. Hello? Hello?
Sorry. So
Okay.
the determination based upon the whether are you how much complexity is there in the query. If it's a
Okay.
simple query condition and that doesn't involves any of the joins aggregation, that
Okay.
time no, you can open a simple input output stream from the HDFS. This is the way.
Oh,
Hive is intelligent about whether to access invoke MapReduce or I can directly go into HDFS.
HDFS. Okay.
Both way it works on.
Okay. The
Hive is
system
that.
itself decides.
Yeah.
Okay. We are not going to do anything about those.
Yes. Exactly. Right.
Okay.
This is the one. So let us discuss about Hive now. So now Raj and Shad got background about Hive, right? So let
Yes.
us see the constituents of the Hive. So this is the logo for the Hive. Beeline, actually it is being called as Beeline in the very beginning. Now that logo as Beeline, he is empowering the Hadoop here, the elephant face. That
Okay.
is the logo. That bee is honeybee is empowering the Hadoop. That is
Oh,
that emblem. Okay, so now let us see the architecture here, how the miracle is going to happen. So now we are at this point. The client what you're showing is this is the one client. This is the one, the client the shell I invoked it, Hive shell you're seeing it here. This is the shell we just saw now. So we are at this point. So when I get into Hive shell, what it does is that it connects to the Hive metastore here. Hive maintains a separate server instance called Hive metastore server. So with that, it preserves the table structures like the one here. So you see, I was writing queries like show tables, show databases, right? So even I can say, you remember this one? Show tables. So where does this data stored? This data is called metadata of the database. This is stored in the metastore server. And also you can get to know the structure of the table. Sorry. Describe employee 2. So this is my structure of the table. ID, first name, last name, and this is a string, those things like that. So this metadata information is stored in the Hive metastore. But Hive doesn't store the data. Hive only stores the structure of the data. See this structure, because I want to process the file. Where is this file? This file is there in the HDFS. If you look at it, the file I'm referring to, that is there in HDFS, not in the Hive, not in Pig. So on the HDFS file, Hive needs to process it. So Hive needs to know what is the structure of the file. So essentially, Hive can be used when you know the structure of the file. It is not a tool to process an unstructured file. So Hive is a tool, Hive is an ecosystem component that can be used when you know the structure of the file. So that is the
So,
basic.
sorry to interrupt you, Madhu. I have a
Yeah,
question. So Hive deals only with RDBMS,
RDBMS like things, not
like
Hadoop.
data. Yeah, yeah, only the things which are stored in like in tables.
Not tables. Let me give a different background to you. This is not a table basically. This is simple
Yeah,
comma separate file,
yeah,
right? If you want to get a full glance about what I am referring to, Let me take you to the another instance here. I opened this Hive. This is the Hive shell. Let me open another tab here. Get into that. So now Hadoop. Let me open up the file here. ls user practice, I believe. So let me open up the file and show you what is the file I have. Okay, hi, word count. That is the file. Employee. Yeah, right. This is the file I was referring to. So I kept this file in the HDFS. This is the HDFS path, right? So if you would like to see the file content, for simplicity, I just brought into my local PC. But this is not the file I'm referring to. I'm referring to a file which is there in the HDFS. So I'm going to now display the file. If I just put cat command, it will display the content of the file. Yep. Simply, this is a comma separated file. In reality, what Hive is doing is that there is no such a table what you could get from SQL Server or Oracle or MySQL. There is a table here. There is no such thing like data being stored in table. All that we have is a file, simple comma separated file. So this table is working on top of the comma separated file. That is the reason I'm saying it is SQL database RDBMS like things, not exactly an RDBMS thing. In the RDBMS you have table, you have all the constraints over it, the differential integrity, all things are there. But Hive, it looked like a RDBMS thing, but in reality it's not RDBMS. Everything is a file. You can define the file structure. There is no hard and fast thing. And then you can define the structure of it, right? So how did I define the thing? I created something like Hive basics here. Yeah. So what you did on the same file, I have the same structure. So I created some table directory hierarchy here, and this is the structure I've given to Hive. There's some syntax you have to follow. Create table if not exist. Training dot employee. Training is the alias, the namespace or the database, right? Training dot employee 2. I say that ID, the first column, comma, first name like that. And what I'm saying is that the fields are terminated by the comma, lines are terminated by the new line character. And this is the class paths I'm giving it. I have to understand. This is a text file only. I'm saying that there is no key and row, key and value kind of thing. Ignore those things. I'm saying it. And where is the location? User, practice, Hive, employee. That's exactly you're seeing it here, right? User, practice, Hive, employee. I'm not referring to file here. You could put 100 files in the same directory. It can pick up. As long as all the files are in same format, it can pick up. It doesn't have any issue.
It's like it's like a data dictionary.
Dictionary, exactly.
Yeah, metadata store. Is it?
Metadata store, yeah.
Metadata store is a.
So
it's like a data dictionary, which regarding the tables information, it is stored in the metadata storage.
Right. So what you need to realize is that this is not exactly like database. In database, do you see any file? No. Right? In typical databases, you don't see any file. All that you see, a table you see. But how that engine stores the data and table, that's not known to you, right?
Yes.
So in Oracle or SQL or MySQL, Microsoft SQL Server or MySQL, you don't know how data being stored. All that you know, there is a table out there, you can query on top of it. But on contrary to the traditional RDBMS systems, in the Hive, you still be calling them as tables, but the table is not real table. It's just a structure you're defining it here. But
Okay.
actual data being stored in the physical file like this, right? Like the one. It's a physical file. It's a simple file that you
Okay.
can control the file structure at any point of time.
Okay. So you can modify it.
Modify it, yeah. That's what I meant to say,
Okay.
right? Right. So this is the Hive significance. So in real practically, you get huge files like this, system generated files, or your program generates a huge file like this. So you will go to the file and get to know the structure of it. You query it, you open up the file in the Hive, in the HDFS and see the structure of the file. Then you start processing it. It is not that you start dumping the file one after other, line by line, into some table. You will not. You will never going to do that, because let's say if you're dealing with 30 GB file, let's say employee CSV file is 30 GB file. You can't dare to open the file in any of the editors, or you can't dare to dump into any of the traditional database systems. So only thing left with you is that Hive-like tools. First thing is you do like this. What you do is that you open up the file. Say uh, cat is the one. Oh, head is not recognized in the Hive, I think. Oh, head is not recognized. I think there is a command out there. Less is recognized. Oh, it's not possible. Okay. Where do I see the file content? Only cat is recognized. Only cat. Oh, okay. Okay, I thought something else. In MapR, there's a different way to access the file. So it is not supported in the Hortonworks. Okay. Sorry, I was thinking something else. So typically what you do in the real time is that you open up the file like head command. If it is a map, if it is a map or VM, you could do like this. But Horton is not supporting this command. What you could do, n minus n minus 2, minus n minus 2 will print first 2 lines of the file. So with that you'll come to know the structure of the file, and then you write your table dictionary here. And then this one you execute on the Hive shell here, in the Hive shell. So that brings up a table to you. But somehow Hortonworks is not supporting this minus head count. Okay, that's not a problem. We'll see it later. Okay, so let us come back to the discussion. What is there now? So we are at this Hive client. So the moment you create a table structure, it gets into the Metastore server. So the moment Hive client opens, it connects to the Metastore server. So under the Metastore server, how does it Metastore server manages the whole content? It again opens up a small database called MySQL server. The SQL server not to store the data. Data will be there in HDFS only. It is to store the structures of the database, the tables you are going to create. So this database Hadoop uses or Hive uses to keep the data dictionary information of the Hive database. Right? You see the paradoxic things here. So Hive Metastore server, it preserves its Metastore structure like that. Preserving, I mean to say, you are opening this file here, right? I just described it here. You want to see the table structure here. Describe is the command. So where does this information being stored? Somewhere the Hive has to store, right? It's not a magic thing. Either it stores that in a simple text file, or it stores the information some organized way. So for that reason, to simplify things, Hive itself uses a small MySQL server to store the data dictionary part of it, not the actual data. So now Hive client.
Madhu, I had a question.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused about the metadata being stored, metadata which is getting stored in RDBMS as well as in Metastore.
Okay.
Both
So
are storing metadata, right? Like structures and stuff like that. So
exactly. So
how do you
Hive.
differentiate clear? What
Yeah.
is the clear distinction?
Yeah. Exactly. So Hive client, when you open Hive client, it connects to the Metastore server.
Yeah.
So Metastore server is a daemon or service inside inside the Hadoop, right? So this primary role of this Metastore server is to preserve the structures of all the tables, databases, what you have been referring in the Hive. If you remember the structures, so how many tables, how many databases we have in the Hive? Show databases. So I have 3 databases. So where does the information stored? How many databases? I'm not looking at the content of the database. Just
Yeah.
tell me the count of databases.
So
So
this
this
is
is
going to
called
Metastore.
metadata. Yeah. And also I want to see I want to connect to the database here. X demo. I want to see the number of tables there, not the content of the tables. See, there are some tables here. So let me go back to the training database. I've been using it. Show tables. Some tables are there. So this data is called metadata. We're not seeing the content of the tables here. We're only seeing the structure of the database and the tables, right? This data, the structure information itself is data for us, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere we have to keep in traditional world, you could open a single Excel file and then keep the data like this structure, or open up a single Excel notepad here, something like that. Like this notepad here, what you do, let us say databases. This is the first tab you give. First thing is default database, training database. Some structure you have to follow it, right? Somewhere you have to keep this information. And then under the training, I have employee 2 table, and the structure of employee 2 table would be like this. You define a
Yeah.
structure here,
Yeah. Strings or
ID
something. Yeah.
string like this,
Yeah.
right? So this is the name is string like this, blah 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 like this.
Yeah.
So this is called the metadata,
Yeah.
and it also need to say file name is something like that. You say that user no practice and emp.csv. This is the file for it. So this is called the metadata structure of the employee table, right?
Yeah.
So like that. So this information somewhere, at some place we have to keep it. Otherwise, how can it know?
Yeah.
So this managing part is taken care by the Hive
Metastore
Metastore server.
server.
So for that reason, it uses another database called MySQL server to store the information. We don't need to deal with these things. It's all hidden to us. Till this point, you don't need to do anything here. We only need to know Hive client only.
Okay.
And the syntax to create a table, to access a table, those things only. This is all automatic for you. This is all done by the Hive
We're just running
server.
in the background. Okay.
Hello?
Hello?
You see background noise?
No? Hello,
Am I
Madhu?
clear now?
Yeah.
Okay. So this apart from Hive client, as a user as an administrator, you'll not be dealing with any other things there. These are all automatic for you. But the reason to discuss the point, to give an understanding about Hive, how Hive is going to work, this has the implementation here. Like this is the architecture of the Hive. It has a Hive Metastore server, and the Metastore server depends on RDBMS, a small database, just to keep the content there, like this, right? And then how does Hive able to process the file? It leverages the MapReduce framework if needed and goes back to the HDFS. In some cases, it doesn't need to leverage the MapReduce. Directly, it can go back to the HDFS and pull the data.
So Hive
Clear now?
client decide, Madhu, so Hive client decides whether to use the MapReduce or not, right?
Yeah. Hive client, yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Hive server is not a real server. That its role is to only keep the structure of the database, nothing more than that. Okay, Shada, are you clear about this Hive architecture?
Yes, Madhu.
Yeah. Let us move on.
But when we want to know the structure of the database, the Hive automatically uses the Metastore server or RDBMS to know the structure of the data.
Yeah. So all that as a administrator, as a developer of the Hive, what you need to know is that the commands you need to follow. The structure now. Describe the table. Use this database. Describe it. Get into the database. Those things you need to know, right?
Okay.
So, but the point I'm trying to bring up is that it interacts like this to get these things done.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So now, what are the different areas Hive is going to do better job? So Hive is being used as a warehousing component of the Hadoop. So typically in warehouses, what you do, predominantly you query a lot. Initially you dump data, you query a lot because you do aggregations, monthly reports, all the statistical activities you do on the warehouses. So since Hive is giving you the SQL kind of data accessing, it is being called as a data warehouse of the Hadoop. So then many things will emerge now. It is used for the reporting tool access. So Hive also gives you the JDBC layer. That means from Hive, using Hive, one can connect the tools. Like say if you're using Pentaho, if you're using the Tableau, if you're using the QuickView, Jaspersoft, any reporting tools can connect to Hive.
What are tools, Madhu?
A Tableau, Tableau tool.
I don't know.
You're aware of this Tableau tool. This is excellent reporting tool.
Okay.
And Pentaho, the one more tool, Pentaho.
It's in the Hadoop or it's a RDBMS tool?
They are separate tools. They are not part of Hadoop.
Okay, it's not part of Hadoop.
So many organizations, they use reporting tools.
Okay.
Example,
Like Cognos?
some organization. Hello?
Is it like Cognos?
Cognos. Exactly. Cognos, MicroStrategy, Microsoft Excel,
Okay.
right? Even the SQL Server reporting tools. Many tools and techniques are there. They use reporting. So Hive can able to integrate with many of the tools because Hive has a JDBC layer. So this layer with JDBC combined with ODBC. This layer basically gives you a web-based access to connect to the
This
Hive repository.
JDBC?
The JDBC, yeah.
What is the JDBC?
Java database
Connectivity.
yeah, utility. This is the layer that connects to the database.
Okay.
If you're writing the Java program to connect database, this is the component we have to use.
Okay.
This is open database connectivity tool, ODBC.
Okay.
Any application can use it. This is written in C++. JDBC written in Java programming language.
Okay.
So these two are the fundamental blocks of any reporting tools. Even if you are using any reporting tools like Cognos, MicroStrategy, Pentaho, Tableau, that
What
time no, they use these layers.
is connectivity?
Yeah, connectivity, exactly. So what you would like to know, if you open Excel, so there is data section out there. So from other sources, if you see, this Excel can able to connect to Microsoft SQL Server. From it can able to connect to the any other list of tables here. Let us say other from data connection wizard. Let us see what are there in this. So here see ODBC DSN. You see this here. So this with this you can connect to the external databases. So you can connect to Oracle. You can connect to anything. So similarly, the Excel using this ODBC DSN layer connect to Hive. All that you have to do, you have defined the ODBC DSN. How do you define that? You have to define the control panel here. Here you will go and define the ODBC layer, because I can't define it right away, but this is the way. Network system security. Where is my ODBC layer? Yeah, this is the one. Data sources. So here you have to, let us say, if you're using user DSN, click add. So here I don't have much components here. If I get a Hive client component here, I get a Hive one more component call. If I have Oracle component, I get an Oracle component here. Since I didn't install any of the components here, so I'm only having the default SQL Server component. So in this way, if you add, Hive also has a Hive connectivity component, ODBC component. Similarly, many applications they provide it. So then you choose this one, and then say that the username, the descriptions, like the similar way. You don't see much difference between connecting to Hive or connecting to SQL Server or Oracle. As long as if you're using the ODBC, the component of the Hive, right? So that's what I'm trying to showcase here. So once you have configured that part, so with this Hive, with Hive, external tools can connect to the Hadoop ecosystem. So tools like Excel can able to query the HDFS data. It can't directly connect to HDFS, but through Hive, Excel can able to connect to the HDFS, right? That is the point here. So alright, this is about the discussion about the Hive. Let us see the what is there in the Hive. So what are the components in the Hive? So Hive predominantly schema and read-only philosophy. So when you're defining a table structure, sorry, this is the different picture compared to what you have been seeing in the traditional world. When you are creating a table, let us say if you're creating a table in the SQL Server or Oracle, and then if you're trying to insert a row which is not in line with the table you have mentioned, it can't allow you to insert record, right? But that is not the case with Hive. Hive says that it's on schema and read only. So I can give a garbage file also here, XYZ file. It doesn't complain when I'm creating table, but only the schema validation happens when you want to retrieve data, when you want to retrieve the data from the table. So in that sense, Hive is called as schema read only. So as you know, Hive maintains its schema structure in a metastore. Hive has two kinds of tables, internal tables and external tables. So the one you have seen now, this is called external table. Means there is a path out there. In the path we have a file here. You have seen this file, right? In this path we have a path out there, employee path. In this path we have a file out there. To that file we are pointing this table. This is called external table. But there is another way to create internal table here. So both things look like same. You see it, except that the last statement, location statement is missing in the second table here. If you look at the employee table 2 and employee table 1, the difference what you see in structure is that these two are, the structure is same, everything is same. Only that thing, the employee 2 table I am giving the path of the file. In an employee 1 I am not giving the path. So how does Hive can able to query data? So if you are not giving the path of a file to the Hive, Hive assumes that this is internal file. But if you give a path of a file to the Hive, Hive assumes this is external file, right? So what is the difference between the internal and external? What is the main usefulness of this internal and external? The usefulness is that sometimes you may not want to handle the file on your own. You would like to let Hive to handle the data of the file. What does that mean?
The path means like the first and the second table, that when you give the path, it is internal table. When you don't give path, it is external table.
Yeah.
Is
Let
it
me give an, yeah, exactly. But sometimes, you know, since
these
the
both
example I
tables are stored in the metadata server only?
the structure is stored in the metadata server, no doubt in this.
Okay.
But case of internal tables, it is also storing the structure in the meta store. But the data of the internal table being organized in a different folder by the Hive. It doesn't store in this metadata.
Okay.
Madhu, I have a question.
Yeah.
On this internal and external tables. So can you give us real world examples, like what kind of tables are external and what kind of tables are internal tables?
Yeah.
In the real world,
Typically, yeah. If you go when you go for external tables, when the file size is very huge, you are not taking risk of moving the file from here to there.
Okay.
In that case, external tables are being.
Excuse me.
You want to use the file as it easily. In that case, the external table is being used. But in some cases, you want to culminate the many files into single repository. That time, you want to accumulate, you can't agglomerate all the files into single place. In that time, in that case, you will go for an internal table here. So how Hive is able to do this data management? From the beginning I'm telling you, Hive doesn't keep the data. It only keeps the metastore information. But how, again I'm contradicting my own statement saying that Hive can able to manage the data. So what I mean to say is that, let me take you to another example here. So in case of external tables, what happens is that you define the metadata structure here, and there is a small file out there. So this structure is pointing it to a file in the HDFS. This is the external table structure. In case of internal tables, what happens is that you have a file in your local machine, Windows 7 say. There you have a file. And Hive will create a structure to this file in the metadata store. and this will pointing into the internal table. But it can't work out like this. So Hive will pull out data and keeps a new file in the HDFS. It dumps the file into the HDFS. And since you're not really worried about how Hive is going to manage the file, you don't really mention the file name while you're talking with internal tables here. So Hive has a default folder called warehouse folder. It has a folder called warehouse here. In that folder, it keeps the file. In what is happening in this, what is happening in the earlier case is that the path you're seeing it here. This is our path in the our created path in the HDFS. So we have full control on the path. So we know where exactly our files are residing. But in case of internal tables, you let Hive to decide where to keep the file, but definitely not in the Metastore server. Always the definition.
Madhu, this is like what I mean to say in traditional RDBMS. This is like what you say?
No, not exactly. Not exactly.
Okay.
Conceptually, both you can think of it as a traditional RDBMS, but in traditional RDBMS, do you have any say on the where data being stored, or can you able to see
like temporary tables?
No, not even that.
We don't specify paths in regular RDBMS, right?
We don't specify, and also we don't know how data being stored. Even let's say you have access to the full server, can you pinpoint it to say this is my file that represents the table? You can't say like that.
Yeah.
It's all encrypted or some different format, right?
Yeah.
Agree or not? Do you agree with me?
Yeah.
But in the Hive, that's not the case. It is just that file being managed by the Hive, but you can able to go to the file. Let me show you what I'm talking.
So the warehouse, external table, internal table, and warehouse table. The data is stored in the HDFS of warehouse storage. This warehouse storage is also stored like in a server slave nodes. And those are those are also stored in the shelves.
Yeah, you got the point, Sada. You got the point. So the warehouse also being stored in the HDFS. It is just that instead of you managing the directory, Hive manage the directory. That's it. But either in the external table world or in the warehouse, both are files only. You can able to go to the file, open up the file on your own. You can do everything. It is just that this structure will be maintained by the Hive, and in external tables you maintain the structure of the file. That is the only difference there.
Okay. But the system, storage system, everything is same, like storing in the 3 slave nodes, everything is same.
HDFS, everything is HDFS.
Okay.
Right, that is the difference there. So at a conceptual levels, it looks like RDBMS, but at a storage level, it's completely different from the RDBMS. So everything is a file. You can go to any file you want it. You can open them. You can play around with the files at any point of time, be it internal table or external table. But in case of internal tables, Hive maintains the files in the warehouse directory. There is a specific directory name called warehouse.
Madhu?
Let me show that. Yeah.
I have a question about the internal tables. You said we don't get to name the tables, right? The Hive manages to name the tables. So how do we read it?
No,
that's the case.
No, we will do. We have to do. See, if you look at my command here, employee 2 and employee 1, we are naming the table here, right?
Okay, we'll be naming. Okay.
We'll be naming. How does Hive know?
Everything is there.
We define the naming, we define the structure. Only the path is missing. Okay, we don't know where
path is missing here. So subsequently what we do, we take a command. There's a command out there, load data in path. From this path, you are dumping into the employee 1 table. You see this statement here? This statement actually loads the data into the Hive. So what is meant by loading data into Hive? Essentially, you are creating this file from this location to warehouse location. That's it. It is not like RDBMS insert. I'll just show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I got understood. Like replication of the table, maybe like replication of the table, and it is stored in the other warehouses.
Something like that, but not exactly, Sharda.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying is that no. Let me show you the one I'm talking about. Okay, so let me talk about this thing before I get to that path. Demo home mapper. Oh, it doesn't have empty because we didn't create any temporary table. So we didn't create an internal table. It's empty. So let me create a first uh, internal table here in the Hive. Okay, so now we have an internal table here, and then let me see what is there. Oh, nothing. Where does it store the warehouse? Is there a file called user temp system ranger mapper HTTP demo apps? Okay, apps, I think mostly apps. Horton manages the structure differently. I'm just looking at the structure. This structure is actually the path differs between the distributions. If you're looking at the Cloudera, the path will be different. In Mapr distribution, that path is different. In Hortonworks, the path would be different. So here, this is the path. Apps Hive warehouse. This is where Hive is maintaining its warehouse. Let us see what we have in warehouse. Warehouse. All right. See, this is the one. So when I query at the Hive, show tables, show databases. I have default training Exademo database. You see same thing here, Exademo DB, training DB, and these two are the default databases here. So everything in the warehouse is the metastore location. Everything you have seen is a directory here. Training DB is a directory. Exademo is a directory. So let me get into the training DB and see. You see, in the training DB, I have a directory called employee1. But if I query the training DB, show tables, I have two tables, employee1, employee2. But here I'm only seeing one directory here. Where is the other table? Employee2. I don't have definition here. Means I don't have structure here. The reason is that, go back and see, employee2 is external table, so Hive doesn't manage its data. It's only structure it manages it. Structure is again defined in the where? The metastore server. So Hive doesn't take care of the maintaining the data of the table. But when you say the table is internal table, the employee one is internal table because we didn't mention the location of the file, location of the table. So Hive took pain about creating a folder like this. You can get into the directory as well. This is just directory. See this one? Starting with D. employee 1 is directory. So let it get into the directory. It would be empty. Nothing is there. But if I run the command now, this command, so this data will be dumped into the Hive table. Let me do it quickly before we close the session. Let me do it quickly. Where is the file with me? My file is here. This file I didn't copy it to my Linux machine. It's still with my Windows PC, so I have to copy the sample file. Okay, Hadoop. What I have to copy? I have to copy employee file from to Hive samples here. Oh, already have Hive samples. Sorry, then I can get it. Home, same path, home practice Hive samples. Okay, then this will work. I don't have to do anything. Already I have the same thing. So what I'm trying to do now is that I have created an internal table. I want to dump this is my Linux path. This is not a Hadoop path. Remember this one. From my Linux, I'm trying to export the data into the Hive. So when we say exporting data to Hive, what does it mean? Hive cannot manage data on its own. So it creates a new file in the HDFS. That's what we're going to see. So this command doesn't work in the Linux prompt. These commands will work in the Hive prompt. Home practice, do you have file like this or not? No? You see this command here from my Linux machine. This is my if you want to see the path, let me take you to the path and show you what I'm talking. So this is my Linux path. This is not a Hadoop path, and the other one I'm seeing is that Hadoop path. These two are different things, right? From my Linux path, I'm trying to export data into the Hive location. So now some data has been loaded now. Now you could see, sorry, apologies. Now you could see earlier when I ran this command, you got empty response here. There's no data here. Now you could see when I ran the same command, you see in the employee directory, you see some records here. You see here. So from the local path, from home practice Hive samples, when I import it, it gets into where? In the Hadoop, right? Apps, Hive, warehouse, TrainDB. TrainDB is my database. employee1/employee CSV file. Now you see it. So there is a magic in this Hive internal external tables. In case of internal tables, Hive creates a directory under the warehouse directory and manages the file there. In case of external table, Hive doesn't deal with these things. It is our responsibility to manage the file separately. Hive only keeps the structure of the file in a metastore, right? Are you all with me now?
Yeah, so when the file is huge, we have to go for external tables, right?
Exactly. But in some cases, when you want to culminate all the files together, group them together in single place, then you go with the internal tables.
So you can't do that in with the external tables.
You can't do. You can do that. The problem is that again, you have to manage the permissions on the file. let us say, not only the size of it, let us say you and your colleague has the access on the one location in the Hadoop HDFS. Both have the read and write access. So there is a chance that accidentally the other user can able to delete the file, right?
Okay.
But you want to protect the file. So that time you will keep that in the Hive internal table. So many use cases, not only the size is the factor. When you want to have protection, when you want to have clear segregation from the junk files, then you put that in the Hive metastore.
Okay.
Got the point, Raj?
Yeah.
So with this, I'm closing this session. So you can watch back the recording if you want clarity about the Hive internal external tables. So tomorrow I would like you to run through with some of the other features in the Hive, and then day after tomorrow I'll take you to the pig. Before I go into pig, I would like to give a further bigger problems in the Hive. This is a quite big one. If you look at the other script, Hive Airport. This is a quite big database. We have a sizable data here. I think you have downloaded this one in the very beginning. Prerequisites have given this same URLs to you. If you not, please download these URLs. And these are quite big. They are more like real-time use cases. We'll run through it.
Okay.
Okay then. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank you, Madhu.
Thank you.